What's up, guys? Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Diego Call, bringing you guys some E3 coverage, and we're talking about basically the Xbox conference today. Of course, we've already seen Bethesda, we saw Microsoft, we saw Ubisoft, also Square Enix has come out, and I only saw the Avengers presentation from that, so I haven't really seen anything about Square Enix, but I've seen everything else, and I'm going to be covering each and every conference individually, starting off, of course, with Xbox right now. And I will, of course, be doing, some breakdowns after it's all said and done, kind of giving you my thoughts on what are my top 10 most anticipated games that they announced, talking about the conference I thought was the best, and, of course, going forward, kind of what I'm expecting to see from some of the stuff that we saw presented. Unfortunately, a lot of the conferences so far have been very, very, have been very much a letdown. What I usually hope to see at E3 is not just trailers, not just some game footage, but also seeing some actual gameplay footage, not just cutscenes, but actual gameplay. And for the most part, we haven't really seen anything about that. I think the only presentation that really showed a lot of gameplay was Square Enix. Ubisoft showed some with Watch Dogs, but let's just go ahead and jump right into Microsoft presentation. This was an okay presentation. I think they went more towards a stylistic, an artistic kind of a presentation, a lot of nice looking indie games, like Ori and stuff like that, showing off a lot of colors and just kind of being a nice thing to look at. But there was really no substance in terms of, look, this is the game that's going to be coming out soon, and this is what the actual gameplay looks like. And that's disappointing. That is very disappointing. But of course, then they talked about Xbox Scarlett. They released a bunch of details about Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, and I guess I can start off with Game Pass Ultimate because that's actually a really, really good offer. The way Game Pass has been working since its release was basically there's like 120 games, I think, at a time. There's over 100, so I guess it kind of depends on what games come in, what games come out every given month. But there's at least over 100 games. A lot of them are actually really good. Like, I'm actually currently installing Metro Exodus, which is a game I was going to buy 100%. I was just waiting for the price to drop a little bit, but since it's on Xbox Game Pass, that's, $60 or $70 saved basically for me. So that just kind of goes to show you that there's a lot of good deals off of Xbox Game Pass. And this is the same thing with Gears 5 when it comes out. I'm going to be saving money on that. And there's a lot of games on there that are actually really, really good, and they're actually really recent. And the best thing about it is all the new Xbox exclusives, they all come out there. And that's going to save a lot of people a lot of money. I think it's a very, very positive thing that Microsoft is doing. Of course, I was at first wondering how the hell it's possible that they make any money off of this, but then I was actually thinking to myself, like, if they're making, let's just say in Europe, or at least where I live right here, it's €13 a month. So in America, let's just say it's $15 a month, and that's for 12 months. It's around $180 if you're in the U.S. So that's guaranteed $180 from anybody who has it. Whereas usually, Xbox exclusive have been pretty shit for a while now, so they might not even make $180 a person off of in studio game developed sales. So it actually works out pretty good for them, and it's actually a really, really good deal for the players as well, because let's just say that let's just take, for example, somebody who doesn't necessarily have the opportunity to buy a bunch of games. So they have a Game Pass. There's maybe a bunch of games that they wanted to play, but they never had the money to play. Like, let's just say Phantom Pain, just to make an example. Or whatever else. There's a ton of games on there that you can download and play. And maybe you have a huge catalog that you wouldn't have had even close to if you hadn't had Game Pass. So it definitely works out for both parties. It definitely works out for Microsoft and definitely works out for the gamers. And I was skeptical at first, but ever since I downloaded it, I've been actually really happy with it. And the way that Ultimate's going to be working nowadays is essentially there's three packages, I guess you could say, into one single package. Now, there's Game Pass, which is the classic one for Xbox, which I've already had for a little bit now, and that we've all known about for a while. Plus, there's Game Pass for PC, so there's like 100 games coming out in August for PC. There's the beta right now. I actually checked about 4 hours ago, more or less, just to see what it was looking like, and there are some interesting games there, so it's definitely worth looking at. I don't know if right now, if you only have it for PC, if it's actually worth it right now, but there's a lot of Xbox games like there's of course all the Gears series. There's Halo. I think I want to say Halo Wars and all that stuff is on there. So there's some games there as well for PC, but of course it's still pretty early. I think the biggest sales one for them right now is Age of Empires 2, the Definitive Edition, which looks really, really good. And that's unfortunate because I actually bought the remastered version like 2 months ago. So if I'd have just waited 2 months, then I would have saved some money. But it's all good. I bought it for a very cheap price, so it's no harm there. And then of course, there's the fact that, which is probably the thing that I like the most about it, is that now with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, you actually have Xbox Live Gold included, which means instead of spending $180 more or less, I would be spending that I have been spending, as of right now with Xbox Live Gold, which for me in Europe costs $60 plus the $10 a month I was spending for Game Pass. I actually end up spending. So you figure that's what? That's 10 a month for Game Pass plus I think it's around $60. Yeah, you just do the math. I can't. I'm too stupid to do the math right now. I think it's like $5 a month, but that's because I have the discount. So I end up actually saving quite a bit. It's like $30 to $40 per year. I did all the calculations just off of subscriptions, and then of course is the fact that I won't be spending any money on Xbox exclusives, which means I'll be saving anywhere from in total from $300 to $400 more or less this year. So I'm very, very happy about that, mostly because I actually get the Gears 5 Ultimate Edition, which is of course something I was going to buy, which is going to be expensive regardless. So I'm very, very happy with this. I think this is a great opportunity for pretty much anybody who is either a huge Xbox fan or is actually somebody who doesn't have a huge catalog of games and they want to expand upon it, and this gives them an opportunity to also have gold included. So it's very, very easy. It's very convenient, and the fact that it's also on PC starting off in August, it's just very, very good. It's very, very good. It's a very good deal, and I strongly recommend anybody who is interested in, who is a diehard gamer to really dive into this, because this gives you a lot of access to a lot of games that you maybe wouldn't be able to buy, and just in general, yeah, it's very, very solid. So that's probably the best part of this conference as of right now in terms of what we actually got to see. This was a very positive thing for gaming. When moving on to the actual games itself, there were 60 games announced or at least shown, because of course some of them were world premieres, some of them were first looks, other ones we'd already heard about and known about, but for the most part, 60 games. It was, I'm not going to say it was the best, because it wasn't insanely entertaining, but there were definitely some good ones here, and unfortunately I'm looking at it in not exactly the correct order, so I'm going to go ahead and start off from the top. I guess the most important one is going to be the first one that's on this list. I'm looking at ScreenRant.com, just in case you guys are wondering, and of course Halo Infinite is by far the number one thing that they showed. Okay, anybody who is an Xbox fan or anybody who's really just a gaming fan in general should be a fan of Halo, because it literally is the game that changed the world with its multiplayer in Halo Combat Evolved. So whether you like the way the series has been going lately, or whether you're an Xbox gamer or whatever, you have to respect and you have to kind of appreciate Halo for what it did. So of course Halo Infinite's always going to be a huge hitter whenever these conferences come around. And what I liked about it is they actually showed a little bit more than I would have expected. Of course, now we know that it's coming out in holiday 2020, so presumably around Christmas. I'm expecting it to probably be, a couple days before, a couple days afterwards. Not exactly on Christmas, but regardless, it's going to be coming out with the release of the new Xbox, the Xbox Scarlett. And I'm hoping that this is going to be a very, very good game. Now, Halo 5, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I've never played it because when it came out, I was short on cash, and all reviews said it was pretty garbage, so I didn't splash the cash to give it a shot. I do have it, ready to install, but it's 101 gigabytes, so it's going to take forever with my garbage internet here, so I've always just kind of pushed it aside a little bit, but right now I'm actually very interested in downloading it and playing it, and then of course I have the Master Chief Collection, which is just very, very good. They've really fixed it, and it's very solid. But Halo Infinite's looking very good graphically. It's beautiful. Of course, we got to see a little bit of a scene there. That's one of the issues we've been having all conferences, that there's no gameplay. But we did get a nice scene of Master Chief floating in space, him being reconnected to the system, and all the power going into him, and just setting him back, basically putting him back to life. And of course, the fucking shit's being attacked, and John's about to go out and absolutely torture the shit out of people that are trying to destroy his shit. So this is going to be a very, very, very interesting game. Like, as long as they don't blow it like they with Halo 5 Guardians, then I think this is going to be a great game. And the fact that this is going to be a launch title, it's just beautiful to see, because I think that this is a great way for Xbox to really sell the Scarlett as soon as it launches. And we're going to be seeing hopefully more of Halo Infinite very soon. More than likely, we won't really see much of it until E3 next year, which is probably when we're going to see a bit more gameplay. We're going to see some more stuff, but there's no doubt this game is looking good. I can't tell if this is a new engine. I've seen a few things. It's called the Slipspace engine, but I'm not 100% sure if this is what they had in Guardians. I don't think it is, because it looks different, but we'll see what happens. Regardless, it's looking very, very nice, and of course the music, it's just beautiful. Like, the music of it is just phenomenal. Then of course we had Gears of War 5, which unfortunately we didn't see really anything about. All we saw was a little clip of Kate, and having pretty much all the major characters from the series' face coming out of hers, and of course her holding the amulet. So, I mean, I was hoping to see a bunch of gameplay. I was hoping to see some really interesting stuff, but I think they said that they're going to be showing some more in the future, very, very soon. But I don't know. I was hoping to see a lot more, but I'm very, very excited about Gears of War 5. And regardless of whether we saw gameplay or not, I was always going to buy the game regardless. So, or I guess not buy it because I have Game Pass. But, you get the picture. I was going to play it regardless. So I'm excited. Didn't get to see much, but still excited. But what they did show is a tease, or at least a trailer for a new mode called Escape, where essentially it's going to be 3-player co-op, and you have to escape a bunch of various scenarios. And I think what they said also is that some players can actually control a swarm, setting up a bunch of traps and stuff like that. So it's interesting looking. I don't know how much I'll personally play it, but if it's good, then I'll give it a chance. People love Horde mode, and that's a mode that doesn't really appeal to me. So I guess there's something for everybody. I'm more interested in the campaign and, of course, the competitive multiplayer, but mostly the campaign. But I'm very much looking forward to this game, which comes out in September. I think it's September 22nd. I think that's what if I can recall correctly. Either way, that's gonna be a very, very good game, I think. And Gears of War 4 had its issues, but I think it was a very good game in general. And I'm very excited about Gears 5. Then, of course, was arguably the biggest thing, or at least the one I liked the most about this presentation, because we actually got to see some gameplay, and we got to see, some interesting people on screen here, which was, of course, Cyberpunk 2077, which was just huge for Xbox, like, to have the exclusive there. I think that really sold the show, and it's probably going to make it the number one as of right now from what we've seen. Of course, it doesn't really take much to be the number one, considering how low the bar has been. But regardless, seeing Keanu Reeves there and seeing what the game's going to be looking like, what the gameplay is going to be looking like, it's looking good. Of course, we didn't actually get to see like a full gameplay scenario, but we did see some clips of the gameplay, and it looks good. So I'm excited about this. And it just looks like it's going to be a very, very good game. And I think that we have to have a lot of faith in CD Projekt Red, what they've done with The Witcher. Basically, the first game, I haven't personally played it, but I've heard it's really, really good. And of course, everybody knows how critically acclaimed The Witcher 2 and 3 are. So I think that there's absolutely no reason to not have trust in CD Projekt Red, and anybody who's not going to buy this game is kind of insane. So I'm looking forward to playing this, and I'm looking forward to see a lot more of it as well. And of course, Keanu Reeves being in the game, it adds a lot of interest for a lot of people. I think this is going to make it more interesting even to people who aren't hardcore gamers. They just want to have Keanu Reeves on the screen. And it's interesting because this is a pretty clear development that we've actually seen, of course, throughout this entire E3. Is that there's a big push towards getting big name actors into these games. Of course, we saw John Bernthal with the new Ghost Recon. We saw Kit Harington in Call of Duty not too long ago. Who else did we see? There was somebody else earlier too. I got the guy from Always Sunny. He's also doing, well, it's not really a game, but they're doing a TV series which looks trash. I'll talk about that later in another podcast. But regardless, there's a big push going towards actors, and of course, there's also Littlefinger in Quantum Break. So they're adding a lot of these big name actors, and of course Kevin Spacey in Call of Duty as well. So they're adding a lot of these big actors into these games, and we'll see how that plays out and how that moves going forward. But I think that Keanu Reeves definitely adds a lot of excitement for this game, and I, for one, and very much looking forward to Cyberpunk, which comes out April 16th, 2020, which it's a long way away, but it gives you plenty of time to catch up on any of the CD Projekt Red games that you're interested in. And if you haven't played them yet, then definitely need to get on that. Moving on, we have Psychonauts 2, which of course is Tim Schafer and Double Fine's masterpiece from a while back. I personally am not. I'm not personally a huge fan of the series. I think I played a little bit, when it first originally came out. But this isn't really big for me. But people consider it a masterpiece. It's a cult classic. So, I mean, people are gonna love it. Probably not for me, but it's interesting, and it's gonna come out allegedly in 2019. We'll see if Xbox doesn't do what the Xbox does and pushes it back a little bit. But it should be coming out this year, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people excited about Psychonauts, but it doesn't really do much for me. And then, of course, they showed Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I can't even talk. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which looked really good, to be honest with you. Like, I'm excited about this game. Now, I haven't been a big fan of the most recent Star Wars games. Of course, Star Wars Battlefront 1 was shit. Battlefront 2 was pure garbage. I played like 2 matches, then had to uninstall it because it's just too garbage. But I am actually looking forward to this because it's going to be a single-player game, allegedly no microtransactions, and it's going to be 100% story-driven. Now, of course, it features some characters from Rogue One, in particular, Forrest Whitaker's character, and I'm looking forward to that because I like Forrest Whitaker a lot as an actor. I did not like Rogue One. I saw it actually not too long ago, a few days ago, and it's a garbage movie. So yeah, we'll see how this plays out. There's a lot of skepticism around the game because, of course, it is EA and it is a Star Wars game. So we'll see, but it's looking very fun. The gameplay looked good, which is one of the few games we actually saw gameplay for, and the gameplay looks very, very good. The graphics look pretty good, a little bit washed out in terms of colors, but that might change when we go to a bit more, life-filled worlds and stuff like that. So hopefully that will improve a little bit, and of course, there's still time for this game because it's going to come out November 15th, 2019. So we might still be seeing a relatively, I'm not going to say early build, but still not the finalized version. So we might see a bit more color there. And it's just in general, it's looking like a very, very interesting game. So I'm looking forward to this one quite a bit. And then, of course, we have Outer Worlds, which is not a Bethesda game, but an Obsidian game, which is very interesting because when it first dropped, I was like, okay, this is clearly by the developers of Fallout. I mean, this is, of course, Obsidian, the original creators of the Fallout series, and they did make New Vegas as well, so they have a history making good games, and this is one that I'm very interested in. We don't have an exact release date, but it does release. Wait, was it October actually? Maybe we did get an official release date. I'm kind of blanking on whether it was October or maybe they didn't fully announce it, but regardless, this is looking very good. And for any owner or for any subscriber to Xbox Game Pass, you actually get this game on release. So that's another $70 saved for me. I'm looking forward to this one a lot. It's looking like a Fallout game, more in the space and in the future. So I mean, I'm just looking very much forward to this, and I'm thinking it's gonna be a pretty good game. Then of course they announced I don't know if you can call it DLC, but it is an expansion for basically the prequel for the new Borderlands game, which is of course going to be part of Borderlands 3, which, if I'm not mistaken, they said it's completely free to anybody who already has the Handsome Collection, which of course I do, and I'm looking forward to trying that out. I actually haven't played the Borderlands series in general, but I have the collection, so I guess before the game comes out on September 12th, I'm going to play the entire series and hopefully enjoy it and then pick up the game whenever I have the chance to. Next up, we have Elden Ring, which is a very, very interesting game. I'm not a huge fan of From Software just because I'm not patient enough to play other games. I started Dark Souls 1 2 or 3 years ago, and I got to the Tomb of the Giants and just couldn't keep on. I just couldn't go forward because I didn't have any kind of a light source, and that meant either just trying to follow a guide, which I don't like doing, or going all the way backwards, facing a bunch of enemies that were a pain in the ass in the first place, and finding a light source. So I decided, you know what, I'm just not going to play this because honestly, I don't have much time to play anyway, so I don't need to be frustrated constantly and just raging constantly and having that ruin my day. So, I mean, I'll maybe eventually get to it again, but regardless, I'm not a huge fan of From Software, but the game is written in collaboration with George R.R. Martin, who of course is the writer of A Song of Ice and Fire, which of course is the base for Game of Thrones. Now, that makes it very interesting to me, and I will pick this up just because he's associated to it. Whether or not I'll actually end up finishing the game, whether or not I'll even be relatively enjoying the game because of how difficult it's probably going to be, that remains to be seen. But we have no idea when it's going to come out, and I don't know. It looks interesting, and I'm hoping it's going to be a very, very good game. But regardless, with George R.R. Martin, I'm going to buy it regardless. Dying Light 2 was announced, which is something that doesn't really interest me in any way whatsoever. I didn't play the first one, and to be honest with you guys, like, I'm not exactly a big fan of these zombie games. Like, Dead Rising is okay. Like, it's fun because it's basically stupid, so you don't have to actually put any effort into it. There's zero tension to it, anything like that. I guess the first one was actually really, really good. Dead Rising 2 was actually really good as well. Dead Rising 3 was okay, and I have Dead Rising 4, but I've never played it. So I'll probably eventually get to that, but I'm just not a big fan of these zombie games. Like, State of Decay 1 was really good. 2 was trash. I don't know if they've actually fixed it. It seems like maybe it's gotten a little bit better, but it was definitely trash at launch. And I'm not really interested in any way whatsoever in Dying Light 2. They talked about Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which is the follow-up to Ori and the Blind Forest, which it looks beautiful. Like, there's absolutely no doubt about it. It looks beautiful. And I'm sure it's a fun game. I'm sure the original was very good because people seem to love it, but I've never played it, and I'm not a big fan of that type of game. So maybe I'll pick it up if it's on Game Pass. I think it is because, of course, it's a Microsoft-developed game. So I'll probably just give it a shot here and there, but not too interested in that. And then, of course, there's Blair Witch, which it looks interesting. It really does look interesting. I don't know how much of it I'll actually play because I'm not a huge fan of the, like I said, when it comes to zombies. I'm not really a huge fan of the horror genre in general. The only horror game I actually have enjoyed, really, was Resident Evil 7, and that's just because it's a fucking masterpiece. So, I mean, we'll see. This is one of those games that I probably won't pick up, definitely, at launch, but it is an Xbox exclusive. I'm looking at it right now, and I can't remember if this is an Xbox exclusive, but it says it's coming to Xbox and PC, whereas everything else says PS4 as well. So, I'm thinking this is an Xbox exclusive, which means it'll probably be on Game Pass. So if it's on Game Pass, then I'll pick it up. And that's kind of a common theme you probably notice is that a lot of the stuff that comes out on Game Pass I wouldn't buy if it was. I wouldn't necessarily spend $70. So I wouldn't pay full price for it if it came out on its own. But because it's already included in my Game Pass subscription, then I'm more interested in giving it a chance, which is, of course, a great thing for gamers. You know what I mean? Like, it gives you a chance to try more games without spending a ton of money. Wasteland 3. I don't know, like, I'm not interested in this particularly, but, I mean, I don't know, I didn't play the originals, so I have no idea what to really expect from this, so it's just kind of a thing, and it's just a trailer, so they really didn't really see much of it. I mean, I guess we'll see. Bleeding Edge is a Ninja Theory game, so this could be pretty good, considering it was developed by the people who, you know, have traditionally made some really, really good games. Their last game was Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, which I actually have installed, of course, through Game Pass once again. And I'm looking forward to trying that game and then seeing what this is going to be about because it's coming out, the technical alpha for Bleeding Edge. Bleeding Edge is coming out in June. Yeah, June 27th, 2019. So it could be good. I don't know. I'm going to give it, I'll give it a fair chance. Not too much to say about that, but it looks interesting at least. And this is going to be a game that could interest a lot of people. Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, which is going to be all 9 Star Wars movies into one single Lego game, and it's going to be coming out in 2020. I'm not a huge fan of these Lego games, but I did play some of it with my brother back in the old days. Like Lego Star Wars, what was it? I think it was the prequels, and it was definitely before the new movies. So, I can't remember what it was called though. But regardless, it was there was always fun games, Indiana Jones as well. Those were always kind of fun to play. I don't know. It was always kind of a chore for me, but they aren't bad if you're playing them in small bursts. And the Lego games, to their credit, have actually gotten much better because there's actually dialogue now. There's voice acting, and that makes it a lot more of an enjoyable experience instead of just being a bunch of little toys moving around and stuff like that. Crossfire X. I don't really know what to say about this. It's the first time that Crossfire, which is apparently a huge game in Asia, is going to be coming to consoles, and it's going to be on Game Pass. So I guess that's good for me, but I'm just not too interested in this type of thing. I'm not going to lie. We'll see. It comes out in 2020 anyway, so there's plenty of time to kind of understand more of what it's going to look like. They did say there's going to be a single player campaign, a battle royale, shocker, and some exclusive content for some of us Game Pass subscribers. So I might give it a shot, but we'll see. Number 16 on this list is actually a game I might give a shot. This looks good. It looks really, really good, and it's the Microsoft Flight Simulator. They showed off a lot of cities. They showed off Dubai. They showed off New York City. They showed off San Francisco. I can't remember what else they showed, but they showed a ton of cities. So I'm wondering if they're going to have like the entire world, at least that you can fly. I'm not going to say like you can fly over everything and see all the little towns throughout the world, but I'm saying like I wonder if you can fly over pretty much everywhere in the world, and just kind of travel around in that and experience some of these cities, kind of like Google Street or Google Earth, whatever it's called, but in a different way. So I'm looking forward to this. Like if it does come out on Game Pass, then I'll buy the hell out. I mean, I'll play the hell out of it and give it a chance. But I'm looking forward to it. This is something that I wouldn't usually buy or try, but it looks actually really, really good. Like the detail looks great, so I'm interested. And of course, we have Age of Empires 2, the definitive edition, which is going to be in 4K, and it's going to be apparently, it's looking really, really good. Of course, Age of Empires is arguably the biggest strategy game out there. Me personally, I like turn-based games more. I'm a bigger Civilization fan, but Age of Empires is definitely a fun game. I've actually only started playing it, like I said, a couple months ago, so I've only just recently gotten into the series, but it's looking good. Like it's looking like it's going to be very, very fun. It's going to have everything in it. All the DLC is going to be in it. There's going to be some extra campaigns well developed for this game. So I look forward to trying that. I think it's going to be very, very fun. I know my friend Marco is going to be interested in that too. So I'll probably let him use my Game Pass, and if he wants to use it, then that's more than fine because he's a huge Age of Empires fan. And I think it's going to be a good one. Battletoads, it's coming back. I don't really have anything to say about that because I've never played the original. So yeah, it's coming back, whatever. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. It's going to be an RPG Dragon Ball Z game, which I'm all for. I love Dragon Ball. And it's coming in early 2020. Didn't really get to see much about it, but we do know it's an RPG, so it's going to be, more action-based instead of being like just a classic 2D or 3D fighter. So we'll see. I mean, I'm interested. Some of these Dragon Ball games, as of late, except for Dragon Ball FighterZ, have been pretty trash. Like Xenoverse, pretty garbage. Xenoverse 2 was pretty garbage. Raging Blast, that whole series was trash. So I don't know. I don't know how much faith to have in it, but based on how things are going, I might pick it up, and we'll see. Gears Pop is a game that I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Like, it has the potential of being Game of the Year. I'm just playing. Like, I don't know. It doesn't interest me. I might pick it up just because it's probably gonna be free. So, I mean, just whatever. Have a phone game every once in a while, which I don't actually play mobile games at all. But I guess maybe it'll be fun. I don't know what to say about that, but whatever. It's a Gears game. Minecraft Dungeon was announced, and it's going to be an action adventure game set in the Minecraft universe, which appeals probably to a lot of people. For me, I was never really a fan of Minecraft. I played a little bit of it, but it was never really something that interests me too much, and this game is no different. I don't really like the look of it. I don't like anything about it, really, and I mean, it's going to be for some people, but just not for me. Moving on a little bit, I'm going to kind of go past a few of these games because there's a lot of them that don't really mean much to me. I'm going to talk about the ones that do interest me a little bit. Forza Horizon 4, they did mention the fact that there's going to be, of course, the whole Lego expansion, and that's not really interesting to me, but Forza Horizon 4 is a very, very fun game. Very, very good, well designed, so this is probably going to be there's going to be something that kind of expands upon it, maybe attracts more kids and stuff like that, and of course there's a ton of people that love Lego in general, even as adults who just love collecting, so I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people that are going to be playing this, and I do kind of look forward to trying it out. It comes out June 13th, which is tomorrow for me, at the moment of recording, so I might pick it up and give it a shot. I already have it anyway, via Game Pass as always. I might give it a shot, we'll see. Of course, I do want to correct myself because earlier I said there was DLC for Borderlands 3, but Borderlands 3 is the one that's coming out. I forgot that the other game is actually a prequel, so it's not it's not a part of the main series of the trilogy, I guess you could say. So the DLC is going to be Commander Lilith and the Fight for Sanctuary, which is going to be an all-new DLC mission for Borderlands 2, which is basically a prequel for Borderlands 3. Or not a prequel, but it's going to be a lead-in to Borderlands 3. So I correct myself there. This is going to be very, very interesting, and I do look forward to playing this. Then they mentioned State of Decay 2 Heartland. There's going to be DLC for State of Decay 2. We're just going to have two stories, or at least, basically two stories of two different groups of people. I'm assuming it's going to be connected by the way that it looks. It is now available for purchase. I will not be buying it. If it's for free on Game Pass, then I might do it, but I still haven't even gotten anywhere near finishing the main story for State of Decay 2, so I don't see myself playing this anytime soon. So yeah, it is what it is. Other games they went ahead and talked about, I'm not going to really talk about any of these because they don't really mean anything to me, is Way to the Woods, 12 Minutes, Tales of Arise, Spiritfarer. They did talk about Sea of Thieves for the anniversary update, but doesn't really interest me at all. RPG Time, The Legend of Wright, Phantasy Star Online, Dead Static Drive, Pathologic 2, Star Renegades, The Good Life, Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, okay, Creature in the Well, Killer Queen Black, River Bond, Unto the End, Blazing Chrome, and just a bunch of other basically games that they're going to be indie games or they're going to be included in Game Pass. Like there's a few here that's like Halo Kart Racing, which I didn't even notice. I guess it's one of the little clips that they showed. I guess it's like a Mario Kart but for Halo. I mean, all right, whatever. Yu-Gi-Oh! Shadow Realm Simulator, don't know what that is. And even I saw some card stuff when it comes to the indie games, but maybe that's what that is. Leisure Suit Larry, don't even know what the fuck that is. Marcus Phoenix files his taxes, okay. And then there's some games that are going to be, of course, for the PC version, so Football Manager 2019 and Imperator Rome, which is the new game from Paradox. And then, of course, they talked about how there's going to be Metro Exodus on Game Pass and the new not the new game, but the Lord of the Rings living card game. So they did talk about a bunch of stuff in terms of games. Some good, some meh, and a lot of them that are just kind of indie games that are not my cup of tea. And of course, we have to talk about the last thing, which is arguably the most interesting. Arguably, because I'm not 100% sure that it is because we don't have a lot of details, but it's the new Xbox Scarlett. Now, allegedly, it's going to be about 4 times more powerful than the Xbox One X, which is by far the most powerful console developed. And we'll see exactly what they're going to do with this, but the way it's going to be looking apparently is that it's going to be going all the way up to 8K. I think they said like 120 frames per second, and it's going to, of course, have Halo Infinite at release. We don't know much more about that. We do know that they're working with AMD for specific processors and stuff like that to make this as powerful as possible. We don't know exactly what it's going to be in comparison to the PS5, but I don't really care about that. I'm not too worried about console wars. But I do like to see is the fact that their major push about this isn't necessarily like we're going to be the most powerful console, which of course is kind of what they're going to be pushing for, regardless of what they already pushed for with the Xbox One X. What I like is the fact that they're trying to push as hard as possible crossplay. Because that's the biggest thing for me. I want crossplay. I want to be able to play with my friends on PC, on Xbox, on PS4, PS5, whatever, on Nintendo Switch if they have that. I want as much crossplay availability or as possible. That's what I want. Like that's the main thing. I want this console to be as open as that as possible. And of course, that involves a lot of cooperation with Sony, a lot of cooperation with Nintendo, a lot of cooperation with, I guess, Steam and stuff like that. But with the fact that Microsoft and Nintendo have made a partnership, with the fact that Microsoft and Steam have made a partnership, and with the fact that PS4 or Sony is looking more interested and more accepting of the idea of crossplay, it's a very, very positive step for gamers in general. So I like to see that. I like to see that Microsoft are on the forefront of developing this further. And they did mention the Xcloud, which is looking very, very interesting. This is their response to Google Stadia, which Google Stadia apparently has a lot of issues because it's going to require very, very good internet, which is available even in the US, which has, pretty good internet, especially compared to where I am. I have like 6 megabyte per second download, so that's really bad considering in the US, bad internet is like, 100 megabytes per second or 200 megabytes per second, stuff like that. That's considered relatively bad internet for major cities and stuff like that. So there's only a few cities throughout the US that can actually use Google Stadia without it having, huge issues. So, I mean, with the fact that the Xbox servers apparently are going to be working much better, that's very good. Now, allegedly, you can play any Xbox game that's going to be featuring Xcloud on any device, whether that's Xbox consoles, PCs, phones. I don't know what else, but apparently all that stuff's gonna have it. So it's definitely looking good. It's definitely looking pretty decent, and I'm excited about this stuff. Like, honestly, if Microsoft want, they can have my money right now. They can have it right now. I was talking to my friend Corrado, and we were discussing what more or less that we think the price is probably going to be for this, and I would say it's probably going to be no more than $700, and that's of course being very, very expensive if it is $700. He said in his opinion they won't go any higher than $500 for a console, because basically if you go into $700, then you're more or less looking into PC range. If you're trying to build a decent PC, then of course it's going to cost a lot more. But at that point, then you're probably going to be going more towards the market of PCs. And of course, if this is a console, then it needs to kind of stay in its lane a little bit. And of course, I'm a console gamer, so I much prefer that. So I would hope that it's definitely not going to be any more than $500. I probably would say even $600 is probably going to be acceptable considering how allegedly powerful this stuff is. But for me personally, I haven't even upgraded to a 4K TV, so I'm still playing on a 1080p full HD TV. So I mean, I'm not hugely interested in 4K or 8K or any of that stuff. So I am hoping that they will stick around 500 at the very most. And I think that a lot of that also depends on how much the PS5 is going to release, because you would assume it's probably going to release more or less the same time, which is going to be holiday season 2020. And anyway, I'm extremely excited about the console. If I had to pick a game, or if I had to pick 3 things that really excited me the most about this, of course it's going to be Halo. But I think number 1 is definitely Cyberpunk. Number 2 has to be Halo, because it really got me on my fucking feet and pounding my chest like a dumbass at work at like midnight. And then I guess it has to be not really Gears, because they didn't show enough. I'm already excited about it. They didn't really show much about it. I have to say Star Wars, to be honest with you guys. Like, it's number 1 Cyberpunk, number 2 Halo, and then number 3. Actually, you know what? No, Outer Worlds. I think Outer Worlds looks very interesting. So those are the top 3 for me, not counting, of course, the whole Game Pass Ultimate and of course the new Xbox. So all in all, if I have to give it a rating from a scale of 1 to 10, which is how I like to do things, I think I'll probably give it a 7. To be honest with you guys, like, I can't give it any more than a 7 because it wasn't that interesting of a conference. We didn't get to see any gameplay, really. And apart from some of the more hardware/software in terms of, like, Game Pass, stuff like that, related stuff, then we didn't get to see much. We did see a few interesting looking games, but definitely not enough to where I can give it a 7 or an 8 or a 9, or even especially not a 10. So it wasn't a great conference, but it was better than some of the other ones we've seen so far. And I think next up I'll talk about Bethesda. I'll probably go in order. So Bethesda, then I think Square Enix was after that. No, of course I have to talk about EA. I haven't watched that one because it's going to be a nightmare watching that whole thing. But I am a fan of FIFA, so of course the game's shit, but I am I do play a lot of FIFA, so I'll probably watch that anyway, and then see some more stuff maybe that I missed about Star Wars, and see what happens with EA. So I'll probably do EA actually last, because it's one of the ones I haven't seen yet. So next up I'll probably do Bethesda, then Ubisoft, then EA, then Square Enix, and then maybe Nintendo. I don't have any interest in Nintendo stuff, so probably not, but maybe just for the sake of doing some coverage, then maybe I'll talk about that as well. This is definitely going to be the longest one, because it was the longest conference by far. I think it was over 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours more or less. So just a very, very meh conference, but like I said, arguably the best one so far, which isn't really saying much. So that is it for this episode, guys. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll check you out in the next episode with some more E3 coverage. See you guys.